Good afternoon all. In last lecture, we have seen measurement of rainfall by rain gauges. The rainfall measurement is done by using the devices like rain gauges and snow gauges. The rain gauges, the gauges or devices that measure the rainfall, that gauges are called rain gauges. And snow gauges, the gauges or devices that measure the snowfall. Therefore, that gauges are called snow gauges. The types of rain gauges we have seen. There are different types of rain gauges. There are two main types: non-recording type rain gauges and recording type rain gauges. In the detail we have seen these two types: non-recording type rain gauges and recording type rain gauges. In non-recording type, it includes the various models which have been designed for measuring the rainfall. Out of them, Siemens type rain gauges, which is popularly used. So Indian Meteorological Department also designed the standard type of non-recording type rain gauge. This is a Siemens non-recording rain gauge. And another one that is designed by Indian Meteorological Department, that is called standard non-recording type rain gauge, which is similar to this Siemens rain gauge. This is a non-recording type rain gauge. Then second one, recording type rain gauge. In that there are various gauges are there. There are mainly three types: recording type rain gauges, that includes tipping bucket type rain gauge. This is a photographic view of tipping bucket type rain gauge. This is a weighing type rain gauge. And third one is floating type rain gauge. These are the three types of recording rain gauge. This is a floating type rain gauge. This is also floating type rain gauge. These are the three types under recording type rain gauges. Summarize types of rain gauges, how rainfall is measured by using these rain gauges. Now we are going to see how to estimate the missing rainfall data. If there is a if instrument is failed, the rain gauge which does not show the proper readings, or there may be absence of the observer or engineer who is employed to take the readings, or who is employed to record the readings from the rain gauges. So in that case, what we should do? How to estimate that missing rainfall data? For certain days during the rainfall, in some cases, that measurement is not taken by the observer, or due to instrument failure. If the rain gauge is failed, if it is faulty, in that case, it will not record the rainfall data. So in that case, what measures are taken? What measures are taken? What is the method to, uh, estimate the missing rainfall data? So up to this, in last lecture we have seen there are different type of rain gauges that are used for measuring the rainfall, like non-recording type rain gauges and recording type rain gauges. So out of by using this non-recording type and recording type rain gauges, if the observer is not able to record the readings, or if there is a failure of the rain gauges, how to estimate that missing rainfall data. So in that cases, that missing rainfall data that is estimated by taking the approximate value from the data of the nearby rain gauge stations. There are number of rain gauge stations which are installed on a particular area. So by collecting the rainfall data from the nearby rain gauge stations, from that we can find out the missing rainfall data, approximate value of that station where that data is not recorded. How to compute, how to calculate that missing rainfall data? What is the method? So the rain gauge stations, first they are evenly spaced around the station with missing record. If there are number of rain gauge stations are installed, suppose 1, 2, 3 in this way. If the numbers are given to that rain gauge station, R1, R2, R3 in this way. Suppose in a particular area, in a particular city or town or village. So in a particular area where intensity of rainfall is to be calculated. त्या एखाद्या एरियाची आपल्याला रेनफॉल इंटेन्सिटी काढायचं आहे. डेप्थ ऑफ रेनफॉल किती झालेले त्या एरियामध्ये ते आपल्याला काढायचं आहे. सपोज एखादं रेन गॅस स्टेशन फेल्युअर असेल, सपोज रिडिंग दाखवत नसेल किंवा ऑब्झर्व्हरनी रिडिंग घेतलं नसेल, तर त्यावेळेस काय करायचं? त्या रेन गॅस स्टेशनचं रेनफॉल कसं मोजायचं? Rainfall data of this, suppose we have taken the example that missing record of that station is X. The station is X. Other stations are what we have given the name 1, 2, 3. If the station X is missing, rainfall data of the 3 stations is available. Rainfall data of stations 1, 2, 3 is available on that day, and for station X that is missing, that data is to be calculated. So the average annual rainfall values at all 4 stations should also be known. Average annual rainfall of all the station that should be recorded. Then if the average annual rainfall at each of these 3 index stations differs within 10% of the average annual rainfall of the station X, if there is 10% difference is there, by knowing the rainfall of all station, average annual rainfall of all the stations, station 1, 2, 3 and station X, if there is the rainfall data of all the station, if there is any difference between the station is having 10%, is within the 10% of the average annual rainfall, then simple arithmetic average of the precipitations at the 3 index station will give us estimated quantity. Average of these 3 stations are taken. Average of these 3 stations, station 1, 2, 3, where rainfall data is known. The missing data is to be calculated. The stations, if the station names are N1, N2, N3 and NX that represent the average annual rainfall at stations 1, 2, 3 and X. We know the rainfall data of the N1, N2 and N3. N1, N2 and N3 is a rainfall stations आहेत, रेन गेज स्टेशन्स आहेत. त्याचं ॲव्हरेज अॅन्युअल रेनफॉल आपल्याला माहित आहे, पण NX ची व्हॅल्यू माहित नाही आहे. रेन गेज स्टेशन which is located at X station, so that value is not knowing, but we know the value of average annual rainfall of these three stations, N1, N2 and N3. This represent the average annual rainfalls at station 1, 2, 3, and missing data of NX is to be calculated. That is the average annual rainfall of the missing station. Then P1, P2, P3 that represent their respective precipitation. Precipitation किती आहे त्या प्रत्येक स्टेशनचे ते डिनोट केलेले आहे. Denoted by P1, P2, P3. P1, P2, P3 are the this is the precipitation of these known stations, and Px is the precipitation of missing station. Then Px, the precipitation of the missing data, Px, that is calculated. So आपल्याला काय करायचं, Px precipitation at missing station. Okay, so Px is calculated by this formula. Px is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3 divided by 3. This is average. P1 plus P2 plus P3 divided by 3. Then you get the precipitation of the missing station. So in this N1, N2 and N3, the average annual rainfall of three stations. The difference of this in this average annual rainfall is within 10% of the NX. So the amounts at the three index stations are weighted by the ratios of their average annual precipitation values. So the value of missing station Px, that is calculated by these ratios, ratio of this average annual rainfall. So the equation is given by Px is equal to 1 by 3 into bracket P1 into Nx by N1 plus P2 into Nx by N2 plus P3 into Nx by N3. So if the values of N1, N2 and N3 differs from Nx by more than 10%, then this formula is used. And when the values of N1, N2, N3 that will be within 10%, then this formula is used. Px is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3 by 3. This is for when the average annual rainfall is within 10%. And for more than 10%, this formula is used. Px is equal to 1 by 3 P1 into Nx by N1 plus P2 into Nx by N2 plus P3 into Nx by N3. In this way, we get the value of precipitation of the missing station. So मला कसं calculate करायचं आहे? How to calculate this missing rainfall data? This is the method of calculating missing rainfall data. समजलं असेल तर विचारा. So missing rainfall data is calculated by this method by knowing the average annual rainfall of the 4 stations, including the missing station. In that, what you have done, the rainfall data of these 3 stations that are known, and for unknown station, that is calculated by knowing the average annual rainfall of each 3 index stations. So we are given the namings to this average annual rainfall for each station as N1, N2 and N3. This is the average annual rainfall of the 3 stations, and NX is the average annual rainfall of the missing rain gauge station. P1, P2, P3 are the precipitation of the known stations, and Px is the precipitation of the missing station. So when the average annual rainfall of these 3 stations differ within 10% of Nx, then the precipitation of the missing station is calculated by this formula. Px is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3 by 3. Is a formula for calculating the rainfall data for missing station. And when the average annual rainfall, which is more than 10%, in that case, this formula is used. Px is equal to 1 by 3 into bracket P1 into Nx by N1 plus P2 into Nx by N2 plus P3 into Nx by N3. So by putting the values of Nx, N1, P1, these are known values. P1, N1, P2, N2, P3, N3. So in this way, we calculate the missing rainfall data by this method. So मला इथपर्यंत then design of the rain gauge network. How rain gauge network is designed. So why the design of rain gauge network is done? So rainfall record that constitute the most important and fundamental data that is required for hydrological investigation. So the rainfall record that is useful for estimating the rainfall, that is useful for measurement of the rainfall, for hydrological investigation to know the hydrological related data, and for other reasons that is required for analyzing the storms, levels of the water, to design the flood, quantity of water, for supplying water to the crops, or for the water, how much the quantity of water that is required for distribution for particular cities or towns, or for forecasting the floods in the river, to forecast the flood. When floods are in rainy season, there may be chances of floods in the rivers. To forecast that floods, to observe the level of the water in the river, then for reservoir regulation, to regulate the water flow. So for all such studies and investigations, a well-distributed network of rain gauge station is very essential. So design of rain gauge network is very essential for knowing or for collecting the hydrological related data, or for hydrological investigations, for analyzing the storms, for fixing the design flood, forecasting the floods in the river, and reservoir regulation. For various purposes, it is required to design a rain gauge network. How much the intensity of rainfall is there, to calculate the intensity of rainfall, depth of rainfall, average annual rainfall, that is to be calculated. So these are the various purposes. For these various purposes, it is required to design a rain gauge network. So to obtain the reliable results, various rain gauge stations are which are installed within a given catchment area or in a particular city or town. These rain gauges are located at various positions, at various locations, to obtain the rainfall data. There are number of rain gauges are installed within a given catchment area. So how to design that rain gauge network? So the design of rain gauge network, that will depend upon the density of gauges, how much the number of rain gauges that are placed, number of rain gauges that are placed in a particular area. So the purpose of installation, that you should know the density of gauges that are going to install in a particular area. So that will depend upon the purpose of providing, or purpose of installation. For what purpose you are going to install that rain gauges, that you should know. So it depends upon the which data is required for which data is required. Suppose you require the rain gauge stations are required to install for knowing the for analyzing the storms. In that case, you should know how much rain gauge stations have to be installed. Or you can install for other purposes also, for fixing design flood or for forecasting the floods in the river. So it depends upon the area. For large area, it requires more number of rain gauge stations. For small area, it will require less number of rain gauges. So therefore, for sparse network stations, there will be less number of rain gauges per unit area. That will be sufficient for study of large general storms or for determining the annual average rainfall over large areas of the large terrain. In that case, sparse network of the stations, that is used. For dense network, for more number of rain gauges per unit area that is required for determining the rainfall pattern in the thunderstorm. In thunderstorm, so it is required to determine the rainfall pattern. In that case, the number of gauges per unit area will be more. In that case, you have to design a dense network. So it depends upon the purpose of installation, whether it is used for determining average annual rainfall or for analyzing storms or for determining the rainfall pattern in the thunderstorms. Depending upon the purpose of installation, the range gauge network is designed. So this rain gauge network which is designed depending upon the purpose of installation. Okay. The minimum rain gauge density required for different types of catchments. How to provide these rain gauge stations for different types of catchment areas. What is the minimum rain gauge density is to be provided? So that are given by World Meteorological Organization. Guidelines are given by World Meteorological Organization for minimum rain gauge density required for different types of catchments. What is the minimum rain gauge density is required for different types of catchment? For this, the guidelines are given by World Meteorological Organization. For the catchment, depending upon the catchment area, the rain gauge network is designed. So in that case, first case is for flat regions. If the catchment area is having flat regions of temperate Mediterranean and tropical zones. For this, for one station per 600 to 900 square kilometer, one station rain gauge station will be there. म्हणजे suppose the area is having flat region of temperate Mediterranean and tropical zones. For this region, flat region, for 600 to 900 square kilometer, one rain gauge station is installed. या एरियामध्ये किती रेन गेज स्टेशन आहेत? प्रत्येक 600 ते 900 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटरला एक स्टेशन त्यांनी घ्यायला सांगितलं. One rain gauge station is to be provided for per 600 to 900 square kilometer area. So for this is for flat region, and if there are limited funds are कमी असतील for the countries whose economy is less, for the countries with limited funds, population or other factors, or lack of communication is there. In that case, the density of may be reduced to one station, that is for 600 to 3000 square kilometer, one station is to be used. म्हणजे प्रत्येक 600 ते 3000 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटरला एक रेन गेज स्टेशन त्यांनी घ्यायला सांगितले. इफ देर आर लिमिटेड फंड्स, इफ देर आर population is less, and if there are communication facilities are not there, in that case for 600 to 3000 square kilometer area, one station is to be provided. So this is for flat region. म्हणजे the area कशी आहे, plain area आहे, flat area आहे, flat region. In that area we have to install the rain gauge station. For 600 to 900 square kilometer, you have to take one station for flat areas, for flat regions of temperate, Mediterranean and tropical zones. The second zone काय आहे? For mountainous region. म्हणजे डोंगराळ प्रदेश आहे, पर्वतरांगा आहेत, त्या ठिकाणी किती रेन गेज स्टेशन्स इन्स्टॉल करायचे. So in mountainous regions of temperate, Mediterranean and tropical zones, for 100 to 250 square kilometer area, one rain gauge station is to be installed. इथे एरिया कमी केलेली आहे माउंटेनियस रिजन साठी. फ्लॅट रिजन साठी एरिया जास्त होतो 600 to 900 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटर. ते एरिया माउंटेनियस रिजन साठी एरिया कमी केलेली आहे. प्रत्येक 100 to 250 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटरला एक स्टेशन घ्यायला सांगते. वन स्टेशन पर 100 to 250 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटर. And for countries which are having less economy, less funds or less population and no communication facilities, in that case for 250 to 1000 square kilometer area, one station is to be provided. समजलं how these rain gauge stations are installed? In this way, the design of rain gauge network is done depending upon the type of area, type of catchment area. A mountainous region साठी आहे. So for 100 to 250 square kilometer area, one station is to be provided. असे number of stations असतील. Suppose for 5000 square kilometer area, there are number of rain gauge stations are there. प्रत्येक 250 स्क्वेअर किलोमीटरला किती प्रोव्हाइड करायला सांगितलंय? वन स्टेशन. So in this way, for 5000 square kilometer area, there will be more number of rain gauge stations will be there. Okay. Third, for arid and polar zones. So polar zones means towards the polar regions in Antarctica regions, or for arid zones, polar zones. How much the minimum density of this rain gauge is to be provided? Minimum rain gauge density for this arid and polar zones. So for this, for 1500 to 10,000 square kilometer area, so one rain gauge station is to be provided. So किती दिलेलं आहे? For 1500 square kilometer to 10,000 square kilometer area, one station is to be provided. So depending upon the feasibility, this rain gauge station had to be installed. So this is the minimum rain gauge density. Rain gauge density is to be provided for different types of catchment areas. Flat region साठी किती आहे? For one session per 600 to 900 square kilometer. For mountainous region, one session per 100 to 250 square kilometer. For arid or polar zones, one session per 1500 to 10,000 square kilometer area. So depending upon the catchment area, these are the catchment areas. Depending upon the catchment area, this rain gauge density, rain gauge network is designed. Minimum rain gauge density is to be required. So this is the guidelines which are given by World Meteorological Organization for designing this rain gauge network. These guidelines are given by World Meteorological Organization. But in our country, in India, what are the guidelines are given? So in India, the standard prescribed by the High Level Committee on Flood that are set up by Government of India, that are set up by Indian Meteorological Department, that recommends to establish minimum station per 500 square kilometer area. इंडियन मेट्रोलॉजिकल डिपार्टमेंट नुसार त्यांनी जे गाइडलाइन्स दिले त्या गाइडलाइन्स नुसार त्यांनी किती सांगितले? वन स्टेशन फॉर 200 स्क्वेअर माइल्स, one station is to be provided. Minimum stations per 500 square kilometer area, minimum rain gauge station had to be installed. That is, these are the recommendations given by Indian Meteorological Department. So this is the design of rain gauge network. समजलं इथपर्यंत? Any difficulty in this? In this way, rain gauge network is designed. समजलं नसेल तर विचारा. पाटील समजलं का? करंडे, माळी, तिटे, भागवत, बोडके, भोसले. Any difficulty in this?
No, sir.
फुल्ले, पवार, सुडके, जोशी. Any difficulty in this? दुबाळ. समजलं नसेल तर विचारा. You can ask in chat box or you can unmute yourself and you can ask. This is the design of rain gauge network. Depending upon the catchment area, for different types of catchments, the rain gauge network is designed. Minimum rain gauge density is to be provided for different types of catchment areas, like for flat regions, for mountainous regions, and for arid and polar zones. Its minimum rain gauge density is required for depending upon the catchment area. Next one is analyzing the precipitation data. How to analyze the precipitation data? So we have calculated, we have seen how to estimate the missing rainfall data, how to measure the rainfall by using rain gauges. So how to analyze this precipitation data. That characteristics of the rainstorm. So rainfall that is measured by using rain gauges. In that we have seen different types of rain gauges are used for measuring the rainfall. So how to analyze after getting the rainfall data from the rain gauges, how to analyze that precipitation data. So rainfall at any place that can be completely described by knowing its intensity of rainfall, duration of rainfall, and frequency of rainfall. By knowing this, we can analyze the precipitation data. So how to calculate the intensity of the rainfall? Intensity of rainfall that is measured by using rain gauges, not that we have seen non-recording type rain gauges, recording type rain gauges. So intensity of rain is that rate at which it is falling. So where the how much the intensity of rainfall is there at a different location, that can be known from the rain gauge stations by knowing the rainfall data at different rain gauge stations. And the duration of the rainfall that is calculated. Duration is the time for which it is falling with given intensity. How much for a particular duration for a given time, how much the intensity of rainfall that is done at a particular rain gauge station. That is the duration of the rainfall. And frequency is the number of times it falls. What is the frequency of rainfall? That is required for analyzing the precipitation data. These are the three data that is required for analyzing the precipitation data: intensity of rainfall, duration of rainfall, and frequency of the rainfall. In this way, by determining this, we can analyze the rainfall data. In that, first, the intensity of rainfall that can be known from this rain hyetograph. Like I want to say rain hyetograph. The intensity of the rainfall that is expressed in terms of centimeter per hour. Intensity of rain कसं काढायचं? प्रत्येक तासाला किती सेंटीमीटर रेनफॉल झालेले आहे. सो ते कशावरून मिळते आपल्याला? फ्रॉम द रेन गेज स्टेशन. रेन गेज स्टेशन वरून आपल्याला इंटेन्सिटी ऑफ रेनफॉल मिळते. By knowing the rainfall data for a particular rain gauge station, you can get the intensity of rainfall in centimeter per hour that can be obtained from non-recording type rain gauges or recording type rain gauges. Whichever rain gauges that are installed, from that we get that intensity of rainfall. So this intensity of rainfall that may change continuously throughout the storm. It may vary continuously. It may vary from place to place, time to time, it may vary. So the intensity of rainfall that is calculated in सेंटीमीटर पर आवर, त्याचं युनिट काय सेंटीमीटर पर आवर. प्रत्येक तासाला किती सेंटीमीटर रेनफॉल झालेले आहे. So this rainfall rate that is expressed in terms of centimeter per hour. If the rainfall is done, rainfall is having depth of rainfall is 5 centimeter per hour, then average rainfall rate will be 5 centimeter per hour. In this way, per hour rainfall is calculated. It may be 10 centimeter rainfall will be there, or more than that, 15 centimeter per hour. In this way, that intensity of rain is calculated. So this is the duration for a particular hour. It is the for a particular hour, how much the rainfall rate will be there. So there is a graph is plotted that is called rain hyetograph. The time intensity curve is generally assumed to be made of straight lines. So by knowing this, the intensity of rainfall, the rain hyetograph is plotted on the graph between rainfall intensity and time in hours. So what is hyetograph? Hyetograph, that is a plot of intensity of rainfall against time interval, that is represented by a bar chart. So bar chart ने represent केलेलं आहे rain hyetograph. That shows the graph between rainfall intensity and time in hours. For per hour, how much the rainfall is, how much the intensity of rainfall is there. The graph between this rainfall intensity and time in hours, that gives rain hyetograph. So that is represented as a bar chart. So area under hyetograph represents the total rainfall received in that period. So area under the hyetograph, how much the area is there below this hyetograph, that represents the total rainfall received in that total duration in a given period, how much the rainfall is done. From this we get the idea what is the characteristics of storm for a particular duration, how much the rainfall is done in for a particular duration. So it is very useful for designing storms. It is important in developing the design storms to predict the extreme floods, to design the floods. For this purpose, these rain hyetographs are very necessary. See this graph. A graph is plotted in between rainfall intensity and time in hours. On x-axis from 0 to 60. Time in hours are given on x-axis. On y-axis, rainfall intensity is shown in centimeter per hour. It is measured in centimeter per hour. This is a time intensity pattern. The graph is plotted. See this 0. Initially it is 0. It is increasing. See this again. It is decreasing. Okay. So at different points, the bar chart is that is drawn below this itograph, this bar chart. The 24 इथे maximum आहे मध्ये at this point. There is a for this after at after 24 hours the maximum rainfall will be 0.4. इथे मिडलला इथे जास्त आहे, परत इथून हे डिक्रीज झालेले आहे. ओके, so this is the rain hydrograph. The bar chart is plotted below this hydrograph. The dotted line that shows the curve that is plotted in between time in hours and rainfall intensity. This is a rain hydrograph. Like I said, rain hydrograph, a graph which is plotted in between rainfall intensity and time. That is represented by this bar chart. The area under this hydrograph that is measured. So why to plot this hydrograph? To design the flood. That is required for design the floods. कशासाठी hydrograph ड्रॉ केलं जातं? म्हणजे एखाद्या कॅचमेंट एरिया म्हणा किंवा नदीमध्ये किंवा रिझर्वायर मध्ये पाण्याची पातळी किती आहे, त्याचे फ्लक्च्युएशन किती आहे, समर सीझन मध्ये किंवा रेनी सीझन मध्ये पाण्याची पातळी कमी जास्त होत असते, तर त्याचं फ्लड लेवल किती आहे, डेप्थ ऑफ रेनफॉल डेप्थ किती आहे, त्यावरनं आपल्याला काय काढता येतं, वी कॅन डिझाइन द फ्लड्स intensity of rainfall. From that you can analyze the precipitation data, how much the quantity of water is to be required for supplying water to the particular city for drinking purpose, for supplying water to the crops, irrigation purpose, or for other purposes. This is a rain hydrograph. या कर्वला काय म्हणायचं, रेन हायटोग्राफ. Another curve that is mass curve of rainfall that you have seen in last lecture. Mass curve of rainfall. So mass curve of rainfall is a curve which is plotted in between accumulated precipitation in centimeter and time in days. The total accumulated precipitation is plotted against the time. That curve is known as mass curve of rainfall, or it is called mass curve of the storm. Like I the mass curve. So that represents the graph between accumulated precipitation and time in days or in hours. So this curve that rises steeply in the beginning and tends to become constant for a particular hours. This is the effect इथे दाखवले पहा in this graph. See this mass curve म्हणजे काय? It is a graph between accumulated precipitation. Precipitation किती झालेलं आहे? How much the intensity of rainfall that is measured in centimeter. Y axis वर इथे दाखवले पहा. Accumulated precipitation okay, in centimeter and time in days. See this effect of first storm इथे दिले पाय up to this point is the effect of first storm. The effect of second storm इथे दिले आहे from this point to this point. The first storm's analysis इथे केलेलं आहे from 0 to up to the up to the 5 days. How much the intensity of rainfall is there, that is given here for this. After 5 days the intensity of rainfall accumulated precipitation is 10 centimeter. Again, for as the days are increasing, the intensity of rainfall is higher. This is for first storm. पहिल्या stormची intensity ही एवढी आहे. For 5 days, the intensity accumulated precipitation is 10 centimeter. And for second storm, suppose we have taken the value is 7.5. For that 7.5, after 7 days, the precipitation will be 14 centimeter. The depth of rainfall is 14 centimeter. Okay. So in this way, the curve is plotted in between accumulated precipitation and time in days. That curve is known as mass curve of rainfall. समजला mass curve of rainfall. Rain hyetograph is different and mass curve of rainfall is different. In rain hyetograph, the graph is plotted in between rainfall intensity in centimeter per hour and time in hours. In mass curve of rainfall, the graph is plotted in between accumulated precipitation in centimeter and time in days. That is mass curve of rainfall. From this, you can understand the characteristics of storm. The effect, storm's effect कसा आहे? From this curve, we can analyze the storm precipitation data. First storm ला intensity कमी आहे, rainfall कमी झाले. For second storm, it is increased. The depth of rainfall is increased. It is 14 centimeter for after 7 days. So from this graph, you can analyze the intensity of rainfall, can analyze the precipitation, or you can understand the characteristics of the storm. Samala, how to draw this mass rainfall curve, mass curve of rainfall. Any difficulty in this, please ask. This is second graph. The next curve is the graph between rainfall and the number of years. So moving average curve of annual rainfall. Now is in mass curve of rainfall. For a particular day, how much the rainfall is there. So next curve is moving average curve of annual rainfall. Annual rainfall काढायचं. The rainfall records for various years that can be graphically represented by plotting annual rainfall values on y-axis and the respective years on x-axis. Yeah, graph मध्ये the number of years, how much the rainfall is there, and average annual rainfall is shown on y-axis. Rainfall. प्रत्येक वर्षी किती rainfall झाले या ग्राफ मध्ये दिलेलं आहे. From 1990 to 2001. त्याला काय म्हणतात moving average curve of annual precipitation. प्रत्येक वर्षी किती rainfall झाले. आतापर्यंत आपण काय पाहिलंय? रेन हायटोग्राफ मध्ये काय पाहिलं आपण? प्रत्येक तासाला किती रेनफॉल झालेले. मास कर्व ऑफ रेनफॉल मध्ये काय पाहिलं आपण? प्रत्येक दिवशी किती रेनफॉल झालेले, किती प्रेसिपिटेशन झाले. ते मूव्हिंग एव्हरेज कर्व मध्ये काय दिलेलं आहे? प्रत्येक वर्षी किती रेनफॉल झालेले आहे, इंटेन्सिटी ऑफ रेनफॉल, प्रेसिपिटेशन किती झालेलं आहे प्रत्येक वर्षी. फॉर एव्हरी इयर हाऊ मच द रेनफॉल इज डन, हाऊ मच द इंटेन्सिटी ऑफ रेनफॉल, that is estimated, that is calculated. See this, in 1990, the intensity of rainfall is less. Here it is shown. 1991, it is increased. 1992, it is again increased. Again in 1994, 93 to 94, it is 93, it is increased. 92 to 93, it is increased. From 93 to 94, it is decreased. Again, 94 to 95, it is decreasing. 94 to 95, 95 to 96, the rainfall is intensity of rainfall is decreased. Again, it is increased from 97 to 98, 97 to 98, 98 to 99, and 99 to 2000, 2000 to 2001. This shows the moving average curve of annual rainfall that is shown in this graph. The graph is plotted here. See dotted line that shows the moving average curve. Okay. So this is a bar chart or bar graph that does not reflect any clear trends or patterns in the rainfall due to abrupt variation in individual years. So there may be variation in the years, variation in the rainfall. So in order to suppress this and to bring out the general trend of the rainfall over 3 years or 5 years, average of the 3 consecutive years are taken and that are plotted in this graph for 3 years or 5 years. Average of the 3 years are taken. See this for 3 years moving mean, the various values of rainfall to be plotted against time. The mean of these 3 years are taken. That is given by this formula. P1 hash is equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3. That is the average annual rainfall for these 3 years. Average of these 3 years is taken. In this way, P2 hash is calculated for P2 plus P3 plus P4 by 3. P3 hash is equal to P3 plus P4 plus P5 by 3. In this way, for every 3 years, that rainfall data is calculated. So from these values, P1 hash, P2 hash, P3 hash, the graph is plotted between this for a corresponding to that time, corresponding to that year. So in this way, the graph is plotted for every 3 year moving average curve of average annual rainfall and average annual rainfall for every 3 years. Here it is shown midpoint of 3 year. The midpoint of 3 years, that point is taken and curve is drawn. That curve is obtained. That is called 3 year moving average curve. त्याला काय म्हणायचं 3 year moving average curve. For every 3 year, that midpoint is plotted in this graph. The midpoint is shown here. So this is the moving average curve of annual precipitation. समजलं moving average curve of annual rainfall. It is a graph plotted between rainfall intensity and year. For number of years, how much the rainfall is there, how much the intensity of rainfall is there. That graph that shows the moving average curve of annual precipitation. समजलं इथपर्यंत? So these curves are very important to analyze the precipitation data. From this curve, you can understand the intensity of rainfall, frequency of rainfall, the depth of rainfall, duration of rainfall. Another curve is depth area duration curve. Depth area duration curve. That's common as a DAD curve. So the aerial characteristics of the storm of a given duration that is given in this curve, depth area duration curve. The aerial characteristics of the storm for a particular duration that is shown in this graph. For different types of curves are obtained for different types of storms for a given duration. So the purpose of this DAD curve, DAD analysis of a particular storm is to determine the largest average depth of the rainfall. Maximum rainfall किती है? Average depth of rainfall for various sizes of the areas. So this is a depth area duration curve. It shows the aerial characteristics of the storm for a particular duration. See this graph, DD curve for 1-day rainfall that is shown. On x-axis, the area in square kilometer is given, and on y-axis, mean rainfall depth is given. Mean rainfall depth in mm. See this curve, DD curve for 24 hours for 1 day. The duration storm, it is shown by this graph. See this, various points at various areas. The rainfall depth is plotted, and that points are joined to get this DAD curve. So this curve is drawn to determine the largest average depth of rainfall that fell over various sizes of areas during the standard passage of time in hours or days. So in the graph which is plotted in between these areas and mean average rainfall. To determine the largest average depth of rainfall that is falling over the 500 square kilometer per day for 1 day. In 1 day, how much the average depth of rainfall is there, that is plotted. So that gives the total largest average depth of rainfall that is determined by plotting this curve, DAD curve. या कर्वला काय म्हणायचं, डेप्थ एरिया ड्युरेशन कर्व. तर यामध्ये एरिया सुद्धा दिलेला आहे ऑन एक्स ऍक्सिस, एरिया इन स्क्वेअर किलोमीटर. ओके, एरिया is shown on x axis, that is the area. Depth is shown on y axis, mean rainfall depth in mm. दाखवले for 2400 square kilometer area, the mean rainfall depth is 20.2. The average is taken, average rainfall depth is taken, mean rainfall depth in mm. So for every day, for 1 day, this analysis done, DAD curve for 24 hours for 1 day. How much the intensity of rainfall is there, that is shown. This curve gives the curve between depth, area and duration. Therefore, it is called DAD curve, depth area duration curve. This is a curve which is shown for 1 day rainfall. समजलं इथपर्यंत? Any difficulty? In this way, the rainfall is analyzed. The analysis of rainfall is done in this by knowing this various values of rainfall data, by knowing the rain aerograph. From this, we know the rainfall intensity per hour, the graph which is plotted in between rainfall intensity and hours. That shows that that graph that is plotted in between this rainfall intensity and time in hours, like a rain hydrograph. And the graph which is plotted in between accumulated precipitation or accumulated rainfall in centimeter and time in days. That curve is known as mass curve of rainfall. Third one is moving average curve of annual rainfall. That curve which is plotted in between rainfall, average annual rainfall in centimeter and per year, how much the annual average rainfall is there. That graph or curve is known as moving average curve of annual precipitation. And last one is depth area duration curve, like I mentioned, DAD curve. This curve is plotted in between depth, that is mean rainfall depth in mm or centimeter, area in square kilometer, and duration in days or hours. That curve is said to be DAD curve. Like I mentioned, depth area duration curve. So these are the curve, different types of curves which are required for analyzing the rainfall data. We can analyze the rainfall data for a particular hour, for particular day, or particular year. How much the intensity of rainfall is there. That from this graph we can understand the or can analyze the rainfall data. समजलं का इथपर्यंत? Any difficulty in this? Please ask. समजलं इथपर्यंत? The next is infiltration, evaporation, and transpiration. We have seen hydrologic curve that we have seen different terms related to hydrologic cycle. Okay. So this now we have seen precipitation. Out of that, we have seen the one of the term precipitation, types of precipitation. ते आपण पाहिलं. आता काय नेक्स्ट काय? नेक्स्ट टर्म्स काय? Infiltration, evaporation, and transpiration. These are the various types of terms related to hydrologic cycle. Already आपण इथे पाहिले आधीच्या लेक्चर मध्ये different terms related to hydrologic cycle. I will show that hydrologic cycle. See this hydrologic cycle. त्यामध्ये काय काय कुठले कुठले टर्म्स आहेत? पहिल्यांदा आपण काय पाहिलंय? Precipitation. Precipitation in the form of rain, snow, and hail. प्रेसिपिटेशनचे आपण काय पाहिलंय, पहिल्या टर्म आपण पाहिलाय. प्रेसिपिटेशन म्हणजे काय, त्याचं टाइप्स काय आहेत, प्रेसिपिटेशन, कन्व्हेक्टिव्ह प्रेसिपिटेशन, देन orographic precipitation. There's in the types of precipitation, cyclonic precipitation. This is the first time we have studied. त्यामुळे आपण how to analyze the precipitation data, how to measure the rainfall. Rainfall म्हणजेच काय, precipitation. The rainfall that is measured by using rain gauges. त्यामध्ये rain gauges मध्ये वेगवेगळे types आपण पाहिले. In that we have seen non-recording type rain gauge, recording type rain gauges. So the precipitation we have studied. Okay. Precipitation नंतर काय, next term is evaporation. Evaporation losses कसं काढायचे, how to estimate, how to calculate that evaporation losses. In transpiration from vegetation, runoff, ते नंतर आपण पाहणार आहे, runoff. Now we are going to see evaporation, transpiration and infiltration. Infiltration हा एक टर्म आहे. 3 टर्म्स आपण पाहतोय. प्रेसिपिटेशन आपण ऑलरेडी पाहिलेलं आहे सिस्टम. आता आपण काय पाहतोय, evaporation, transpiration and infiltration. These are 3 terms related to hydrologic cycle. हे terms आहेत. Okay. Infiltration is towards downward, precipitation is downward, evaporation is towards upward, transpiration is towards upward. These are the various terms related to hydrologic cycle. Okay. त्यामधले आपण precipitation पाहिलंय, how precipitation is measured, what are the types of precipitation, how rainfall is measured, measurement of rainfall. The next term of this hydrologic cycle are evaporation, transpiration and infiltration. So precipitation मध्ये different types of curves we have seen. How to analyze that precipitation data that was studied. The next terms related to hydrologic cycle is infiltration, evaporation and transpiration. So in that first term is infiltration. So water is constantly evaporated from the earth. When there is a high temperature, the water get evaporated. The water vapor, it will escape from the water surface into the atmosphere. And again, after condensation, that water vapor that will come back to the earth, that precipitation that will come back to the earth in the form of rainfall or snowfall, hail, sleet, etc. So this is a hydrologic cycle. So the one of the part is rainfall. So after rainfall, what happens? It falls on the earth surface. It will infiltrate into the ground. Seepage. It will seep through the voids of the soil, and it will reach reach below the Earth's surface, it will uh, reach up to the groundwater table. So it forms a groundwater reservoir, and the water which flows on the ground surface, that that is runoff, it will flow towards the river, and some water after reaching to the rivers, that water may be evaporated, transpiration from the vegetations. That is the hydrologic cycle. In that, another term is infiltration. What is infiltration? When water falls on a given formation, when rainfall occurs, during rainfall, it falls on the earth's surface. So initially, when it falls on the earth's surface, the soil will absorb the water. If it is dry, then it will absorb the soil. It will absorb the water. The layer of the soil will absorb the rainwater. And that soil water, it will pass through the voids of the soil, and it will replenish the soil moisture deficiency. After that, in case of seepage of water through soil, so it will pass through the voids, and it will reach up to the groundwater table. It moves downward, and the excess water which flow over the surfaces, and the water which is absorbed by the soil, that will float. It will flow downward, and it will reach up to the groundwater table. So this process, when water enters the surface strata of the soil and moves downward towards the water table, that is known as infiltration. त्याला काय म्हणायचं? Infiltration. ते आपण या ग्राफ मध्ये पाहिलं हायड्रोलॉजिक सायकल मध्ये. ओके, इन्फिल्ट्रेशन मध्ये, हायड्रोलॉजिक सायकल मध्ये आपण पाहिलं इन्फिल्ट्रेशन. Infiltration is दिले पहा. When rainfall occurs, during the rainfall, see this, so the rainwater is absorbed by the soil. After absorption of the soil, absorption of the water, so that water will be absorbed by the soil. It will flow downwards in this way. Okay, it will reach up to the groundwater table. Groundwater ची जी पातळी आहे, ग्राउंड टेबल आहे, तिथपर्यंत ते काय होतं, पाणी absorb होतं. And extra water, excess water will run off, that will flow towards the lake or river or sea. After absorption of the water, it will flow downwards. It will move downwards in this way. त्याला काय म्हणायचं? Infiltration. या प्रोसेसला काय म्हणायचं? Infiltration. समजलं infiltration म्हणजे काय? The movement of water below the ground surface, it will move downward after the rainfall. So this process by which water enters the surface of the earth and it moves towards the downward. It moves downward towards the water table. So this process of entering of water, that is known as infiltration. त्याला काय म्हणतात? Infiltration. It is continuously moves downward. It seeps down and it will reach up to the groundwater table. त्याला काय म्हणायचं? Infiltration. इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कॅपॅसिटी कसं काढायचं? इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कॅपॅसिटी म्हणजे काय? द मॅक्सिमम रेट ॲट विच सॉइल in a given condition is capable of absorbing water. That is known as infiltration capacity. मग त्या सॉइलची कॅपॅसिटी किती आहे? Maximum rate of absorbing water in the soil. That maximum rate is known as infiltration capacity. किती प्रमाणात ते पाणी ऍब्सॉर्ब करते? That is known as absorption infiltration capacity. So the groundwater stored in the underground soil depends mainly upon the number of voids present in the soil. Depends upon the voids present in the soil. The infiltration ते कशावर डिपेंड आहे? The voids present in the soil. Voids किती आहेत soil मध्ये? किंवा त्याचं size of soil particle किती आहे? The arrangement of soil particles, its shape, degree of compaction, depend upon that infiltration capacity is calculated. And it also depends upon the different types of soils, type of soil, the property of the soil. Depending upon that, the capacity of absorbing water is different. For different types of soil, there will be different number of voids. Therefore, it has different capacities to absorb the water. So, the maximum capacity, maximum rate at which the soil can absorb the water. That maximum rate of absorbing water is known as infiltration capacity. त्याला काय म्हणायचं? Infiltration capacity. The maximum rate at which soil is capable of absorbing water in a given condition, that is known as infiltration capacity. The infiltration capacity काढायची असते. So how infiltration capacity is calculated? So infiltration capacity is denoted by letter F. How it is denoted? Small letter F. That is the infiltration capacity. And if the rain intensity is denoted by P, which exceeds the infiltration capacity, the difference is called excess rainfall rate. ज्यावेळेस rainfall intensity हे infiltration capacity पेक्षा जास्त असते, then that excess rainfall that will flow towards the river, the excess water that will flow towards the flow into the rivers or streams. समजलं infiltration capacity म्हणजे काय? Any difficulty in this? So it is the maximum rate at which the soil can absorb the water, that is known as infiltration capacity, and it is denoted by letter F. So what are the factors affecting the infiltration capacity? So maximum rate at which the soil can absorb the water, that is known as infiltration capacity. On which factors that infiltration capacity is dependent? So this infiltration capacity is not a constant factor. It changes with the time depending upon the location and depending upon the type of soil. The infiltration capacity may be different. So there are various factors that are affecting infiltration capacity are thickness of saturated layer and depth of surface detention. The thickness of saturated layer, how much the thickness of saturated layer is there, depth of surface detention. So water infiltrates into the ground under the force of gravity. Under the force of gravity, the water will move downward. Through the voids of the soil, the water will flow downward due to force of the gravity. It will get infiltrate into the ground. So it will infiltrate through the various layers of the soil. If the thickness of the saturated soil at given time and at a given section is L, then the water will flow through the series of tiny tubes of length L. These are the this is a saturated soil having thickness L. See this? D is the water surface detention. After rainfall, the water level is shown here. It will infiltrate into this soil. This is a saturated soil. This is unsaturated soil. Okay. L is the thickness of this saturated layer. So it depends on the thickness of saturated layer and the depth of surface detention. So this is a D, capital D is the water surface detentions, depth of surface detention. Here is the thickness of saturated layer. So this infiltration capacity will depend upon this thickness of saturated layer. So thickness किती है and depth of surface detention किती है त्यावरती depend आहे. So at the top of each tube, the pressure head is equal to D, which is equal to surface detention, that is shown in this diagram, capital D, and total pressure head causing discharge is D plus L, addition of this thickness plus depth, that gives total pressure head causing the discharge. And on other hand, resistance to flow, which is offered by the soil, which is proportional to L. The force causing discharge, that is equal to D plus L, and resistance to flow is equal to L. F and R. F is the force causing discharge R is the resistance to flow. So L is large as compared to D. Changes in L will have nearly equal effect on the force and resistance. And the rate of infiltration is nearly constant. So this rate of infiltration at the beginning of the rain, when the soil is dry, what happens? Infiltration will be more. At the beginning of the rain, the D and L, the depth of surface detention and thickness of the saturated layer may be of the same order of magnitude. In this case, at the beginning of the rainfall, force is large as compared with the resistance. So water will enter into the soil rapidly. With the passage of time, that L will become more than the D. And after some time, what happens? The rate of infiltration falls down, and that difference between F and R, there will not be any more difference between the value of F and R, force causing discharge and resistance to flow. So after some time, rate of infiltration falls down. In the beginning of the rain, that infiltration rate will be higher. With the passage of time, that infiltration rate will get decreased. So therefore, this infiltration capacity will depend upon the thickness of the saturated layer and depth of the surface detention. या दोन्हीवरती अवलंबून आहे. थिकनेस किती आहे त्या सॅच्युरेटेड लेअरची थिकनेस किती आहे आणि त्याचा डेप्थ किती आहे त्यावरती डिपेंड आहे इन्फिल्ट्रेशन कॅपॅसिटी. Then again, it will depend upon the soil moisture. Then it will depend upon the compaction due to rain, washing of fines, compaction due to movement of men and animals, vegetative cover, and temperature. Based on these factors, the infiltration capacity is determined. So in next lecture, we will see remaining factors which are responsible for determining the infiltration capacity. So पहिला factor आपण पाहिलाय thickness of saturated layer and depth of surface detention. तुम्हाला इथपर्यंत any difficulty in this? Okay. The remaining factors we'll see in next lecture.